gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie and television discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's president of the Fish Mooney fan club, and he's got a bone to pick. Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
Ben Edlund is responsible for this?
And he was this close to playing Tommy Bones, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear. And did you say Fish? Where's Fish? I miss my Mooney.
Oh, man. It is the most disappointing thing of this entire outing, because, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are talking Gotham season 3 episodes 13 and 14, I believe, or is it 14 or 15?
It's 13 and 14.
13 and 14. I wrote it down wrong in my thing here, and that was recommended to us by our buddy Joe S on the Patreon, and we didn't realize it was on Netflix. We thought it should be on like HBO or something, because that's a Fox property, and that's, I don't know, who knows how things work. Disney, shouldn't it be on Disney then?
Well, yeah, it's Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers produced, distributed by Fox. I don't know where this thing lives.
So they go.
It's on Netflix.
So they bring it to Netflix because it's just like, okay, this will be fair. It's on third party grounds. No one has a thing, but I think that's okay. That's a better conclusion for all of us. So we're gonna be talking about those two episodes. Those are Jerome episodes. So Joe recommended those to us, and we decided let's give that a shot. And as I said, Joe is a supporter over at patreon.com/HMP. Doesn't matter what level you donate, get pre-show, post-show, dinger zone, all that good stuff. And of course, get to vote on a movie that we watch each month. And we got all that kind of good stuff. And if you can't do that, man, we at least, say, hey, go over to the iTunes, drop us a 5-star review, aka Humdinger.
Humdinger.
Wouldn't you know it? We got one of those this week. This one comes to us from Kryptonian Orphan. That sounds familiar. And it's entitled Love This Podcast. Hey guys, I'm a fairly new listener, but I've got to take time and give y'all a 5-star review. This pod is fantastic. It's got everything nerds like me could want. Funny, informative hosts, comic character and pop culture, character hero content, comic book connections, one-to-one Stallone connections, and a cool rating system. During these tumultuous times, a little levity goes a long way. Keep up the great work. It's definitely a show worthy of a Robin rating. Well, thank you, Kryptonian Orphan, whoever you might be.
Yes, thank you. Although I do have to pick a nit with you here. We aren't funny, but thank you.
We try to be entertaining. Let's put it that way. If it's funny, that's good, and we'll take it. But
to quote Sean's daughters, I thought you were supposed to be the funny one.
That's correct.
So again, if you'd like to do all that kind of good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/HMP, and we really appreciate that. And wouldn't you know it, check this out.
Bale's here.
We've got one in here from our buddy Rocket Face. Rocket Face writes in a bar in San Fran, Danger Zone just came on. I could not resist singing Dinger Zone in the Adam Portress deadpan monotone key. Also, please do a 30 questions for Wheel of Time. Rocket Face, blast off!
Oh, Rocket Face is reading my mind.
Yeah.
I'm so
okay. So I need to do
November
this.
Show.
I don't know. I've heard the name a billion times around conventions and stuff. People talking about it. You've probably yapped to me about it a billion times, and I just roll my eyes and go, "Bruce is talking about another Bruce thing." What's it all about? I don't even know.
Okay. So you can get caught up between now and November 19th pretty easily, Adam, because it's 14 primary novels and one prequel novel.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. And they're like 1,200 pages each.
Oh, breeze.
Okay. So The Wheel of Time is a fantasy epic. It was written by Robert Jordan. It was outlined completely, but he died before the final 3 novels, I think, were completed, and Brandon Sanderson completed those final novels, and they were edited by Jordan's widow, who also edited all of his novels. And the best way that I would describe this to you, like elevator pitch, this is the fantasy epic that bridges the gap from Lord of the Rings to A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So you can really see like where it was influenced by Lord of the Rings pretty clearly, particularly early on. But then you can also see how influential Robert Jordan was on George Martin. And in fact, when it comes out, there are probably going to be some elements where people who are TV watchers only, which there's nothing wrong with that. But they've seen Game of Thrones. They check this out and they're like, wow, they kind of lifted a lot of ideas from Game of Thrones without realizing that Martin was very much influenced by Robert Jordan.
It's like where is it on the neckbeard scale? Like, is it full neckbeard?
I think I don't know, because I think of neckbeards a little more in relation to comics than fantasy. But it is one of those epics that is so ever present and so influential that people who aren't asked have to chime in and say how it's overrated. You know, it's one of those kind of things. Like, you know that it's a really good series when people have to talk about how they think it's bad so that they sound cool.
Are there people who have to let you know that they know more about this book series than you do?
Honestly, I don't see that much in fantasy. In fantasy circles, people are generally pretty cool. And to be honest, most anything related to novels has a lot more female representation than their counterparts in sci-fi or comics, you know?
I see.
So maybe that's part of it. But it is definitely something where people will try to outdo who has more Wheel of Time tattoos or something if they go to Jordan Con. Did you know that, like, there's a convention called Jordan Con? It's like the fantasy book equivalent of Dragon Con. It's named after Robert Jordan, the guy who wrote The Wheel of Time.
I'm going to say this right now. Too many conventions in this world. Too many. Y'all gotta stop.
I mean, that's why a lot of them have gone bankrupt during the COVID era.
There needs to be like 8.
It needs to be more than 8, but they don't need to be as many as there are.
That's true.
But yes, it's a big deal. Man, who thought they were going to hear me talk for 20 minutes about Wheel of Time on a Gotham review?
Well, listen, we have to fill up some time. It's 2 episodes of Gotham. We're not exactly talking about Shakespeare here, but
I know that we have some super fans who listen to the show too. From YouTube interactions and stuff, because I drop Wheel of Time references into my Attack on Titan reviews all the time, like real subtly, just to see who gets them. And they'll usually let me know in the comments.
Sean, is your house on fire?
That isn't my house.
Is that Bruce's house on fire? Maybe it's me.
I'm pretty sure it's you, Adam.
Maybe I'm dead. Okay.
No, that's my house. That's my house.
I feel like I could have heard
fire, but that is my house. Sorry.
All right, that's okay. I just want to make sure we're all, living and not engulfed in flames.
I don't think it's my house. I'll prove it and take off my headphones, and it got louder.
Oh crap, it's me.
But
which one of you boneheads? Oh, well, crap.
I'll tell you one more thing. You know who is a Wheel of Time fan?
Who's that?
Your brother Mark. So ask him about it.
Is he?
Yes.
He's never talked to me about
Randall Thor. We talked about Randall Thor on YouTube comments.
That kid surprises me sometimes. You never know. All right, everybody. Well, let's wrap up the mailbag.
Bale's here.
And as always, you can email us at heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. Wasn't that simple? All right, let's get into it. Here is the trailer for Gotham.
It's still a little fuzzy. Where's my face? What's that? This guy's hilarious. So, how's it look? It looks good. Tonight, Gotham, there are no rules. Do what you want. Kill who you want. You too shall be reborn.
All right, that is from the weird long trailer that I kind of got on YouTube. I'm surprised it had as much dialogue in it as it actually did. I was like, I don't know if I can get something for these 2 episodes specifically, but I didn't do too awful bad. But you know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, what do we got?
Well, in the first month of the New 52 back in 2011, in the build up to the death of the family story arc, Scott Snyder wrote a story in which the Joker has his face surgically removed. Now, why on earth would the Joker go and do something as foolish as that, you may ask? Well, he was obsessed with destroying the Bat family. So he had his face removed to symbolize that even without his mask, in quote marks, he was still the Joker. And he believed this made him better than Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, whose identities were only masked deep. This is kind of like the psychopathic equivalent to the saying, beauty's only skin deep, but ugly's to the bone. People say that, right? It wasn't just something my grandmother said to me, was it?
I think that was a George Thorogood song.
Who held the scalpel that sliced the grin off Joker's face? It was a serial killer with plenty of experience skinning humans, that sweet fellow known as the Dollmaker. But Dollmaker didn't want to do the job. At first, he sent his son, Dollmaker 2, to do it. Joker didn't like getting the understudy, so he bit the poor guy's throat out and left the old man with no choice but to do the job himself. Don't you guys love it when comics get all edgy like that? It reminds me of the time Underdog got strapped down and neutered by an evil Bob Barker. You know, for an old man, he seems strangely obsessed with spaying and neutering animals, and maybe that's why the pregnant lady got fired. I don't know. Well, after this faceectomy, Joker disappeared, but he left his mug flap behind. And Gotham City Police Department put it in a freezer because, hey, what else are you going to do if you find a face lying around? But a year later, Joker wanted that face back. So he came and got it. He also psychologically tortured Jim Gordon for a minute while he was in the neighborhood. Joker used a combination of straps, clips, and pins to hold his face flesh in place, but it wasn't a perfect fit. I guess human flesh shrinks a little bit in the wash or something because Joker had facial muscle and tendons sticking out around the edges. It was really an unsettling appearance, to say the least. It totally blew any chance he had at being cast for the new season of Love Island. But in a subterranean fight with Batman, Joker's face got knocked off and fell down a waterfall. It was washed into the sewer where it was found by Duella Dent, who started wearing it and calling herself Joker's daughter. She then corralled the doll maker into surgically grafting the old man flesh onto her own face, where it remains to this very day. So what about the Joker? What happened to him without a face? Well, it's no biggie. He just dipped into a pool of Dionysium and his face grew back. So now, rather than Harvey Dent, Joker is two-faced. Adam, did you make a list?
I did indeed, because if that comic book connection wasn't enough, let me say you on Gotham Season 3, Episodes 13 to 14, because this TV show has everything. It's got that kid from the OC, that smelly cab driver from MTV. He's no talking baby, if you ask me. We got Polka Dot Man in host of the Fangoria Awards, ya boy, Dave DeSmallchin. We got emo kids, Tommy Bones, skinny cobblepot with disco vampire hair, the son of a doctor, a guy who looks like another Skarsgård brother, young Lucius Fox, not to be confused with a young Luscious Jackson, TV version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a Joker with a Fox attitude, and what seems like a bit of a cue from Scott Snyder and Tony Daniels' Batman. Nigma, super original use of Fight Club in the dialogue. Love it. Police brutality, Ave Maria, a get to the chopper moment, exploding buildings, dramatic banter, a slap fight, and a barrel of acid all in the same scene. An evil carnival. This show's got everything.
Yes. And Marina Baccarin.
Yes. So did you guys, how far did you guys get into Gotham originally? I know we reviewed a couple
I made
episodes
it past here. I had seen this like in real time. Yeah, I made it past here. I think I held on to it until the last season. So I think I've made it through 4 seasons and kind of dipped out on season 5.
For me, it's whenever they started bringing people back to life. Whenever that started happening, I was like, okay, I'm done with this show. Yeah, they killed a bunch of people, and I was like, yes, because they did kill off that one character, that terrible, terrible character, and I was like, yes.
Donald Logue's still alive at this point,
and then they brought her back.
That red tabletop money ain't what it used to be, so you got to jump back onto some Fish Mooney action. Not getting those YouTube dollarinos, I tell you, bad move. Oh man. I think I got through probably half of season 2.
Yeah, it's about where I am too. But
right, and it's same. Because I think before we get into all of it, I think the biggest problem with this and a lot of these network shows that we don't tend to cover, because we haven't covered this extensively. We covered a little bit of the when it started and everything, but the reason that we don't cover a lot of these is because there's a buttload of shows. Yeah. There's just 21 episodes in a season, and it's like, my goodness, it is just it's a barrage.
I think these 2 episodes that we just covered were like the 9th hole on the golf course. Like, this was the midpoint, because they started doing a lot with the superhero shows where you get 13 episodes, then they go on a little holiday break, and then after the Super Bowl you get 13 more episodes for your 26 episode season.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure this is what like straddled that winter break so that you wouldn't forget about the show and come back to it. So Mad City was like the subtitle for the season this was in, and it is one of, I think, the more critically acclaimed seasons of Gotham.
I mean, this had a lot of the same tropes that I kind of remember, but I mean, I like a lot of the setting and stuff. This feels like a precursor to like the Batman Arkham games, where like just everyone in town is just a maniac and has that crazy dress that they do in this show here and stuff. So it feels like they certainly took a lot of cues from that, and I'm sure a lot of the Snyder Batman run and stuff like that. It feels like, at least from the look of everything.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Snyder in this episode, in particular, episode 13. But one thing I had forgotten, because, this is 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago now. And it wasn't the kind of show I would pour over and watch each episode 3 times. But I'd kind of forgotten like some of the interesting stuff they were doing with the Penguin and the Riddler here. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, man, they really did actually develop a show that was beyond just Cat and Bruce and that pair. Like there was a whole lot going on around the rest of the city. Jim Gordon wasn't, the only character that you would get a POV from.
Yeah, I think with this episode, and again, I'm just judging these 2 episodes because I've only seen the season and a half there. So with this, I'm just judging this as a whole with what I'm seeing. The Nigma Cobblepot relationship is it is the most turned up to 11 melodramatic, and it's like it borders on that, like I love it and I hate it. Because
that was the magic of Gotham.
It's like chewing that scenery, and it's just like, I hate this. This is awful. I don't like these performances, but I can't stop watching.
Gotham found this magic level, and the only way I can describe it is if it was a little bit better, it would have been worse. Like if they did some of this a little bit better, then the show would just be bad. Like they managed to find the right level of insanity that works just on like, okay, I'm going to go see what kind of ridiculousness got an $800,000 budget this week. Like, I mean, it's that whole strange level where it's like, first off, no bad ideas, guys, no bad ideas. Some of them are bound to be good. Right. And they really would like crank it up to this point where like, if you work on it just a little bit more, suddenly it feels like it feels like you were capable of doing better. So they managed to stop at the point where it's like, wow, I'm really proud that chubby kid could run that fast. It's like something like that.
That was kind of my MO in school and everything. It's like, if I remain like, a BC student, it's not that bad. More CD, let's be honest. I kind of pumped myself up a little bit there. Let's be straight with everybody. CD. And that way, if you get up to a B, then people are like, well, look at him. Look at him progressing. All you got to do is give a little bit of effort.
So
I'm not proud of it, mind you, but that's how it is.
For me, this show isn't like I've been bad mouthing the show kind of since we started this episode. It's not a bad show. It's just not. It's not something I'd ever recommend to anyone either. I think that this show is better than any Fantastic Four movie we've ever seen. I think it's better than like maybe a few of the X-Men movies even.
There's a couple of them in there that are pretty egregious, yeah.
But like it's not something where if anyone was ever to ask me like, hey, what's the best portrayal of the Penguin? Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, I would still say Batman Returns. I wouldn't say Gotham,
agreed.
Even though the guy who plays Penguin on the show is amazing for doing what he's doing. He's incredible. It's just something where like you have to get so far up this show's butt in order to like really appreciate what that guy's doing on this show.
He's giving it at 11 all the time. And I have nothing but proper respect for that because he is not phoning this in. He is giving an honest to God performance. It's over the top, but it feels like that's what this show is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's pulp that embraces the pulp. And that's what I'm saying. It's not pulp that tries to be a little bit serious. It's not pulp trying to be prestige like The Walking Dead. It's pulp that knows it's pulp.
Right. And it works. It works for what it is, and it's definitely a style and a taste. It's just not. It's not something that me personally I would ever recommend to people. I think that like I had fun watching it because, as you guys know, I much prefer something bonkers to to something that just plays it safe. And this
plenty bonkers.
This show never ever plays it safe ever.
Yes, that's what kept me going for so long. Donald Logue and the bonkers.
Man, well, and there are so many good performances in this show for the style of show that it is. However, the kid playing Batman or the kid playing Bruce Wayne, he is not the right actor.
Ooh, I disagree.
David Mazouz.
I actually like him a whole bunch. I don't like Selena Kyle, but I do like Little Bruce.
Oh, wow. Because I actually, back when this show first came on, I remember being impressed because she was actually just like 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid is actually doing an interesting Selena Kyle here. But I always had this theory in the first and second season. I was like, okay, so if this show goes on much longer, because Mazouz is not going to bulk up, they're going to do this thing where he goes away to visit somebody in the summer and he comes back recast. You know, like they gave me some growth serum on that mountain in Tibet. Now I look like I'm on the CW. But they never did that. I kind of admire them for not doing that. Because one thing that really, really, nothing exists in a vacuum. And, how much you enjoy or don't enjoy something is oftentimes relative to what you could be doing instead.
Sure.
And this, when I really started watching this, it was like this was my counterpoint to the CW DC shows, which all kind of played it a little bit by formula, played it safe. I sort of would watch those. Sometimes I would genuinely enjoy them, and sometimes I'd watch them to make fun of how bad they were. And then this was just like a bunch of kids who had too much Monster Energy drink are putting together a show in the basement, and you're watching what the heck they come up with.
Yeah, it seems like it's on edge. Like, I kind of joked with the Fox attitude, but it kind of does have that.
It totally does.
This show is what Fox was in the early 90s, where it was just pushing those buttons and pushing things further than they should be. I mean, we watched this on Netflix, but my goodness, would this be an R-rated movie, 25 years ago? And would never be thought of on
maybe it would. I keep forgetting that 25 years ago was the late 90s. So
exactly. That's what I threw in an extra 5 years for good measure because I'm like, we are getting up there. But back then, just the level of violence alone, not counting anything else, not counting gay relationships, which they would probably at the mid 90s probably like, oh, maybe not so much. With this though, they go so much for network television, like where they get into some David Cronenberg level of stuff where guys just stapling their face back onto exposed meat. It's kind of great.
Yeah. There is no way this would have been on like CBS in '95.
No way. And actually, the show that I think that changed all that is the X-Files. Because the X-Files showed some of the creepiest, scariest stuff on television. And after that, kind of the doors flew open after that.
I would suggest anyone check out the episode Host. It's one of the classic X-Files episodes, and it is one of just the most disgusting, disturbing creatures that they've ever put on television. And it's like they got away with this in the 90s. It's bananas.
Yeah, once again, though, it was Fox. They were really trying to claw out a demographic. They were the fourth guy, to the party because NBC, ABC, CBS had been around for so long. And Fox was, they had this real thing like, hey, we're a real network too, guys. And they put on things that, like The Simpsons itself when it came on. You had Bart saying bad words. And I know that shocked us in 1987 or whenever that was.
Oh, yeah. Like I was 6 when it debuted and, your parents didn't want you watching that. And then eventually it over time became a family thing.
Yeah. Married with Children went from like this thing that parents would picket about to your dad's favorite show in about 3 years.
But to see they're kind of still doing this in the modern sense. And what do you say? How many seasons did they get out of this show? 5, 6?
5.
Oh my goodness!
It's 100 episodes.
So they directly said we're going to get some syndication money because 100's where that syndication bread starts at. But with Fox, they either will keep a show on forever or will cancel it in the first season, even if it's like a really good show. There's some
like Firefly.
Firefly was one. There was another one that was kind of this. I can't remember the name of it. It was like just some law show where it was all about like selecting juries and stuff like that. It was weird and different, and you've never seen anything like it. And while it was cool, it was like, well, no one's watching it. Goodbye. cancel. So it's what Fox does. So it's surprising that this thing got 5 seasons, especially like, we said, with the show itself being that, wild animal that you can't quite tame. I think ultimately it does come down to what are they going to do next week? And that's what kind of helps propel the show. And
I don't know why Fox held on to it for so long either, because it wasn't a ratings juggernaut. Like, these episodes that we watch, like episode 13 that we watched here, the highest rated, most critically acclaimed episode in all of Gotham is episode 13 here that we watched. And it was like the 58th highest rated show on television that week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time too, it's like we live in a world where the Nielsen ratings, I don't know if you guys heard this news, but the Nielsen ratings have just gotten decertified or whatever the heck that means. So essentially they are not even, supposedly counting things in the correct way, which really means there's not enough viewers of stuff and they're upset about how low the numbers are that they're reporting. So they're like, oh, we're dropping you and we're getting somebody that's going to give us some real numbers. And by real, I mean escalated.
Yeah. But there was something that kept this show going, and because this is not an inexpensive show.
No, it looks like it costs a decent amount. Like especially like the scene where Penguin and Enigma are on top of that little pier there or whatever. Like you're looking at, I'm trying to like figure out where the seams are and what they're doing, and like what's special effects, what's not special effects and stuff. And it feels like there's a lot more practical things than I would imagine in this show.
But I wonder if Sean hit on something where they were looking at like the long-term marketability of a Batman show, because, and I don't know how much of the cost Warner Brothers kind of helped offset where it wasn't Fox taking all the risk on their own or whatever. But yeah, this show is one that like shocks me that Fox held on to it as long as they did. Now, when it got to end on its own terms, it didn't get canceled.
Well, that's a good thing. So if at least it canceled out that way, so to speak.
So Bruce, does the show end with the kid putting on the Batman costume?
I told you I dipped out. I don't know. How yeah, I'm pretty sure Fish Mooney came back in the final episode. I remember one time I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch the final 2 episodes because it was like a 2-part finale. Mm-hmm. And then, as you may have found out this week, watching 2 hours of Gotham is half as much fun as watching 1 hour of Gotham.
It's true.
I had to put it up to 2 sittings.
I think that was part of the show's curse also, is that it's not a bingeable show.
It definitely is not. It's like watching Blossom.
And it's also like something I could go, because it was on 6 months out of the year or something crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So I could go and watch like episode 4 and then just be busy on whatever night it came on. Like, I don't even remember what night it came on now. And then like, say, you know what, I'm going to tune in and watch episode 12. Totally go with it. Like it's not something that's hard to jump on and off.
No, because they also do the thing that comic books used to do, where it's like, hey, here's everything that happened. Okay, you're back.
Previously, here's a great 45-second synopsis of everything you've seen.
It's like one of the last vestiges of broadcast TV, really, this show itself, because it's really made for you to just tune in passively and watch.
Yeah.
And it's not going on like the cliffhanger, you got to tune in next week very often. It does that a few times, but not very often.
But I mean, I think that's a good advantage for this show, is I think, it doesn't feel like any of us really outright hated this thing, but it's enough to where you can jump in at episodes 13 and 14 and go, you know what? I pretty much am caught up on everything. There may be like a season and a half that I missed, or maybe 2 seasons almost, but plus, I fell in line pretty well.
If you're like moderately familiar with just Batman lore in general, this show's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's Penguin. There's your Riddler. There's your Catwoman. Oh, but they're little. Okay, I get it.
And the nice thing is, CW was doing like the CW would do the Penguin, but sexy. The Riddler, but sexy. And this, other than Jim Gordon, but sexy. And, all the women. Actually, they do cast a lot.
There's a lot of really good-looking women on their show.
But they cast really quirky-looking guys, all the way from Bruce to Cobblepot to Enigma to Harvey Bullock. I mean, that was one thing that was nice, is they cast all these quirky guys, but they do have like Erin Richards. Nobody is saying she is quirky-looking. Like the adult women on this show, Marina Baccarin has a pretty solid fan base for her attractiveness.
Yeah, they're doing all right over there. They're like, listen, we got to make the crew actually want to come to the set every now and then. We can't be looking at you ugly mugs all this time.
Even like characters that aren't around long enough for me to remember their name, they're still like super attractive ladies and stuff. But the guys are quirky looking other than the most handsome man on earth, Ben McKenzie.
Yeah, every character actor in Hollywood's just like, ooh, I feel like I got to get on this Gotham show. I'm a big giant man with some weird facial hair and stuff. I feel like I could get a job on Gotham.
All I could think is, man, what a rough future Ben McKenzie has ahead of him if he's going to end up looking like Oldman.
I mean, those 15 years were really a pip.
He's also he's a real actor. You know, he started out as like handsome boy academy, but he's not there anymore. He's like a real actor.
Talking about McKenzie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure it wasn't Oldman who was handsome boy academy.
Yeah, you know. He don't need
the
that.
OC, man. The OC guy making his comeback.
I never watched the OC. I never had any of that but I was also not the audience for that show. So
you weren't a Misha Barton fan back in the day?
I couldn't point Misha Barton on a map.
Neither could I. I just know the name.
She's on a map. Man, she's famous.
That girl famous. She's right there by Houston.
Map famous.
That's what I want to be one day. Map famous.
So let's get to the Joker, man, because we haven't even
Jerome.
talked
Let's get to Jerome, because Jerome, out of lots of things I found interesting over the 4 seasons of Gotham that I watched, and out of lots of interesting performances, interesting characters, interesting actors, Cameron Monaghan and Jerome was something that just clicked. I think this guy found an original way to portray a worn-out character with steep competition. And it's the Joker, but it's not the Joker. And he kind of owned that.
Well, okay. I'll challenge you a little bit. Because this is one that I was like, while watching back, I was trying to remember the little bits of Jerome that we got previously. I remember he was beating up some guys in jail and all that kind of stuff. But I was trying to remember what he was doing here and rewatching with this. And is it just me, or it feels a little too Heath Ledger-y for my taste?
Well, that was my original thought as well, because he does the same pitch that
it's all
Ledger
right
does
here. One of these.
He does, but here, what I think he's actually doing, because when he does he does change his pitch like Ledger does doing Joker. Mm-hmm. He's basically doing Nicholson doing a Heath Ledger impression.
And I feel like he puts a touch of Boston into it, which is something Ledger never did.
And so I think that it works differently than Ledger. I mean, clearly Ledger is part of it, and they would, fire him off the set if he wasn't at least a little Ledger-y on their Gotham show, because that's what they wanted. I mean, honestly, that's what they wanted. And so he's doing a bit of that. He, he is one of those actors where he's in everything and he's different enough each time where you're like, I know that guy from something. Like the first time that I played Fallen Order, when I first played Fallen Order, I was like, I know this guy from, and it's Jerome. It's the same guy. And I lost my mind when I figured it out the first time. And so like, he's a really good actor. It's kind of weird that he hasn't blown up more. And I'm wondering if maybe it's just because he was in the ghetto of Gotham. You know what I mean? Like if he were to do a more high profile show, he probably would have a lot more juice than he does right now.
And, I'll just go back to the Heath Ledger thing. Still, as far as live action Jokers, I mean, come on, that one wins.
Geez,
that one wins. So
yes.
if you're gonna steal from somebody, steal from Kirby. If you're gonna steal from a Joker, steal from Heath Ledger. But I really didn't pick up much of the Ledger stuff until he had all the prosthetics on. Because he's got that heavy prosthetics and it looks like he stapled his face back on. And one thing that I felt like Ledger did in his Joker is he talked without moving his lips very much. That was kind of part of the Joker's way of talking, was not moving his lips very much. And I think maybe Jerome couldn't help it. It looks like those prosthetics that he kind of had to talk through his lips without moving them.
Yeah, it's like if you open your mouth too much, then we're going to see where the Ichi the Killer thing is, and it's not going to work like Ichi the Killer.
Or it might even just physically he couldn't move his lips very well because he had that mask glued around him.
Yeah. I saw him in. He plays so to speak, a vegetable in the Amityville: The Awakening. It's one of those direct-to-video Amityville movies, which I got to admit, I think the majority of the Amityville movies I've seen have absolutely stunk. That one's not too terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible.
Okay. Are they shysters in real life? Are they shysters in the movie like they're shysters in real life?
I don't think I don't remember the Warrens are even in this. I could be wrong. But no, he plays like I don't even remember the plot. It was Kurtwood Smith's in it. If that does anything for you,
that's all I needed to know. I'll be right back.
That's a +2 on that movie.
So yeah, that's probably your biggest draw in here, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. So it's
+1.
It's okay. It's not a great, and most of the Amityville movies are terrible. That's one of the few that I stomached enough to where I was like, it's all right. And he's creepy as all snot in it. It's oof.
But Jerome was loved not only by Gotham fans, like TV critics and stuff. He was awarded the acting performance of the week on all of television by some media outlet the week that this happened.
Oh my!
Yeah,
prestigious.
Very.
But by the Wisconsin, Gazette or something like that. One of those people that will just put up any kind of quote.
No, it was like E.T. or something. But did you guys see what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are for these episodes?
Oh no,
no.
They do it per episode now.
Per episode, yes. And the scores I saw may have been old scores. Like from the time it aired. They may be different if you check right now. But episode 13, what would you think episode 13 feels like, Rotten Tomatoes wise?
Well, the only people who are scoring it are people who've seen it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like 95.
This is the critic score. I'm sorry, the critic score, not the audience score.
I'm going to go critic score. We're going to go 68.
90.
100.
What?
Whoa.
Episode 13 was 100. I think episode 14 was like in the 80s.
Okay, I think we definitely are falling into the category of I watch Gotham every week. Most of the time it probably sucks. This time it was pretty good.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying is that everything's relative, right?
Yeah.
Like if you tuned in, I'm trying to think like if you tuned in to Breaking Bad one week and it was this kind of story, we didn't get 100%.
Boy, Walt's gone off the deep end for real this time.
He's stapling a face on.
Jesse's got the penguin hair.
Why is he trying to take down Gotham?
But I'm just trying to say, like Gotham or not, this is the high point that we saw.
Oh, it is. It's fun, and that's the best thing about it.
Dave Dasmalchian. Like I kind of had forgotten that he was on Gotham, and then he's like the first person you see, I think, when episode 13 starts.
Like it got me excited. Yeah, I was just like, oh shoot, he's here. I'm already on board with whatever garbage we've got going on, and he does a great job of just kind of giving that great Gotham kind of performance, where it's just I'm going to get up to 1 million.
We know the types of performances he can give. Like he is an incredible character actor. And he is just like indicative of the kind of people they look for in the show, because he was probably nobody special at the time they cast him for this.
Do you think he's going to be one of those guys, like let's say 25 years from now, 30 years from now, where it's almost like how we behave about Kurtwood Smith, where you're like, oh my God, it's Kurtwood Smith. Like he's never going to be someone. Like he's never going to be on the cover Entertainment Weekly, but he's just one of those guys. He's always solid. He's always very good. And he stands out though, is the other thing. Cause he's so strange looking. So Polka Dot Man, everybody loves Polka Dot Man when they see that movie. Yeah. Polka Dot Man's literally everyone's favorite, as he should be. But I remember I remember seeing him first in Dark Knight, where it's like that guy looks like they literally pulled him out of a mental hospital.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if he's just going to be one of those guys where forever and ever he's going to be in all the big movies, because that's how they cast character actors now, just all big movies. And he's going to have a resume that just looks ridiculous in 30 years. And he's going to be one of those things that's a selling point for nerds like us, where it's like, they got that guy. That's a +1.
I think I got a good one. I think I got a good comparison for you.
Can I say one more thing, though, about David Malshin?
Yeah.
He's also got something going for him is he will never be the one who gets blamed if the movie fails.
True.
So he is going to be working and getting paid well as long as he wants to.
True.
And as long as he keeps delivering like he has been.
I could see him having a Brad Dourif-esque career.
Oh, that's very good.
He's he's a solid guy. He's in a billion things. He's super reliable. And you always love when he shows up in something.
Yeah, and he's got a regular job like Brad Dourif did, where he's the voice of Chucky for like 17 movies, and like, oh, this is my regular gig, but yeah, I can come in and do that.
Yeah,
I can
I'll do all this stuff. He's great.
Adam, do you know where Brad Dourif's hometown is?
I can't say that. Hazard, Kentucky.
Huntington, West Virginia.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, he doesn't live here anymore, but
if he's smart.
he passed away. But he went to Marshall.
Brad Dourif is still alive. I hope you know that, right?
I thought he died, man.
No, born in 1950, still alive.
Well,
he's doing the voice of Chucky in the new TV show, if I'm not mistaken.
Mud on my face. I thought he passed away.
Chucky's on a TV show?
Oh, he's going to be on Sci-Fi, and that trailer looks dope.
Is he coaching the Raiders?
I'm not sure.
The Las Vegas Raiders?
It'd be fun if he did. But yeah, that Chucky show comes out October 12th on, I think it's Showtime. Or not Showtime, but Sci-Fi rather. USA Sci-Fi.
Man, that should be on Shudder.
It should be. It would do quite well on Shudder. And a little disappointed because you could get away with a lot more than you could on Sci-Fi, for heaven's sake. I wanted to see Chucky murdering some people. But then again, real quick tangent. That's not what really the movies are about. Like you can make I think you can make a hard PG-13 or a television, cable television show. I mean, this Gotham show's enough. Like, look at how much carnage that we can get in this show, and that's on network TV, much less one that goes on like cable, like Sci-Fi. So they'll probably get away with enough.
Who do I need to talk to about a Chucky versus Leprechaun movie?
Ooh.
You're talking to him.
Yeah.
I've been daydreaming it for years.
I think there's two people right here that will sign on as executive producers right now.
Adam, you be Chucky, I'll be the Leprechaun.
Listen, I would see it no other way. If we were doing something, I would put you in charge of the Leprechaun.
You know
crap.
what? Let's scrap the Chucky and Leprechaun thing. I just want to see you two fist fight in a room.
Ginger Dead Man versus Leprechaun. Then we can't get the rights to Chucky.
I tell you what, that Charles, what's his nut from Full Moon is going. Yes,
Full Moon likes.
I gotta get these things involved with my nonsense.
Full Moon likes me because I'm the closest thing to media that ever mentions Ginger Dead Man.
That's true. They're like. For those of you that don't know, Bruce mentioned Ginger Dead Man in like a tweet, and Full Moon Pictures is like, that's my boy right there.
Oh man. So what did you guys think about the dramatic turns in here? We got finally the origin of why Batman, when he made his vow not to kill, and we see Riddler shoot Oswald and throw him in the river, never to be seen again, right? Like we're all sure that Penguin died.
Oh
sure,
yeah,
he's
he
wicked
never
dead.
showed back after this.
Very, very dead.
Just like that Jerome character.
It's the problem with the show is that once you start bringing people back, there's no stakes anymore, and so that's it.
Well, it's tough with the show itself being, low stakes, so to speak, because in the world that we've created here. We know almost for certain that this kid grows up to be Batman. This girl grows up to be Catwoman. So when you have Bruce, which I like, by the way, I like this little setup where they handcuff him up there and then point the cannon at him and throw a ton of crap in the cannon and have that, the long fuse and everything. I like that stupid crap. It's dumb. It's comic booky and I'm here for it.
Yeah, going to the Hall of Mirrors and everything felt just a little bit like the One Bad Day aspect of the Killing Joke.
I still love all that kind of crap. Any dumb, stupid movie, be it this or like Us or any of those things that use all the like House of Mirrors and stuff. I love that crap, and I shouldn't, but because it's, but I just do.
And the pork pie hat or whatever, you wear one of those styrofoam pork pie hats, you've won me over.
I feel like there needs to be some sort of a quartet
I think
here.
it's a styrofoam straw boater.
That's correct. That's actually correct.
Well, I'm bringing back the pork pie.
Pork pie is more of it's like circular, kind of on top.
I'm bringing them back. I'm getting on Amazon right now. That's all I'll be wearing from now on.
Listen, I'll tell you the place to go to learn all about your hats and all that kind of stuff. The Gentleman's Gazette on YouTube.
I'm going to go to Hat World.
Hat World. But no, I like the setting. I like the insane carnival. I like the whack-a-mole with people's heads. I thought that was fun. And the fact that, they cut from a guy getting his head smashed and a squirt of blood hitting the guy. And again, you're going network television, everybody. We just squished a man's head on network TV. Unreal.
And Joker had a couple of great lines. I think my favorite was something like, is everybody's relationship with their butler this strong?
That was a good line. That was a very, very good line.
But Pertwee coming in and being able to kick butt and stuff, and I liked him, seeing Gordon in the back and barking out the orders. Here's where all of these people are, and then boom, boom, boom. I like that kind of crap. And
I'm on the record as saying Pertwee is my favorite of all interpretations of Alfred.
He's mine too. You've convinced me. He's mine too.
Yeah, he's got a presence, and especially in this, you feel like he is kind of the one who is shepherding this kid, and it is great that we do get to see this moment within these 2 episodes of him, going, yeah, I was in the moment, I was going to kill him, and it felt like killing him was the right thing to do, and I was like, that's an amazing thing for a Batman character to kind of admit. Is like, hey, I was going to kill him, I wanted to kill him, and I thought that felt right, and it turns out. Maybe I need to rethink some things. And I thought that was a really great moment. And to play it with just these 2 characters, just sitting and talking back and forth, I was surprised at how really well done it was.
Yeah.
Let me see. Any other things that I was thinking of?
Anytime James Remar shows up on these shows, it makes me happy.
I was about to say, yeah, James Remar shows up at the end. And I'm like, I will say this. With these 2 episodes, it did make me... at least curious as to the other stuff. The odds of me actually sitting down and ever watching it are fairly slim.
We're growing. Look at you.
I'll admit it. It's fairly slim that it would happen, but it made me go like, man, if I had the time and inclination, this might be something worth following anymore. But I have neither the time nor the inclination to do so. So I more than likely will not. Is that fair?
That's amazing, fair. Adam. Very good job by you.
Well, sometimes we have to stop lying to ourselves and others. But before we get to our final grade here and everything, we do have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this show relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Howdy, Mr. Stallone. I don't mean to ask you a too personal question, but have you ever taken a shot at Morena Baccarin? She seems your type. Gorgeous, 30 years younger than you, part Brazilian. She's a red hot pistol. She's a sexy, sassy, sophisticated lady. If it were the 70s and if this was a visual medium, I'd be biting the heel of my hand right now. She's on Gotham. She plays a lady that used to date Jim Gordon, but now she no longer dates Jim Gordon. She hates Jim Gordon because Jim Gordon shot and killed her husband, and that's all I know. But Morena Baccarin is great.
That's what the plot they told me this week.
She played Deadpool's lady in the movies Deadpool and Deadpool 2. She was on the TV show Firefly, and she was in the short-lived revamp of the TV show V. If you were a small child like I was when the original TV show aired, you wouldn't be surprised to know that the show scarred me for life when that lady gave birth to an alien lizard baby.
Oh, I remember.
It was horrifying to young Chauncey. There's also other things about that show, Mr. Stallone. At one point, aliens ripped their human faces off, there's space lizards underneath, and also this one time, a dude ate a live mouse.
Robert Englund.
To a very young Chauncey, look, I was both hooked and I was revolted. I've gone back to look at these scenes that scared me so badly as a child into my adult eyes, and they're kind of hilarious now. I wonder if you've ever had something like that happen to you, Mr. Stallone. Why don't you email me and we'll talk about it on the show? Maybe that's why you don't email me. Morena Baccarin also had a guest spot on the TV show Las Vegas, a show that you also had a guest spot on, Mr. Stallone, and that's how you're related to this week's episode of the Hero Movie Podcast. I'm sure Las Vegas is a fine show, but I'm never going to watch it. It's just like the time a woman at work told me I needed to watch The World According to Jim. And I told her I would watch it, but I wasn't. I was lying. I was never going to watch The World According to Jim. And I want to be clear about this lie. I wasn't lying to her to try and save her feelings and be nice. I was lying because I didn't want to talk about The World According to Jim for another second. Because if we continued to talk about it, I was going to lose my mind and probably say something awful to her about her hair because it was a train wreck. And you know what? It worked. It worked, Mr. Stallone, because it turns out that lying works. Now, Mr. Stallone, I'm not sure if it's my writing style or maybe because of the effortless way I read this, but we've come to the end of another Stallone connection. I'll do better next week, then maybe you'll write to me. Your fan and your pal, Sweet Shawnzy from the internet.
Mr. Stallone, that's heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. Well, since we're only reviewing these 2 episodes, and I'm just going to put a good odds here that we're not going to go back and review subsequent episodes past this. So let's jump into a Robin rating system for Gotham Season 3 episodes 13 and 14. And if you'd like to see how the Robin rating system breaks down, head on over to our subreddit, reddit.com/r/heromoviepodcast. It's right there at the top of the screen, and follow that bad boy, why don't you? Bruce, where do these 2 episodes of Gotham lie on the Robin rating system for you?
Well, as I said, Rotten Tomatoes gave it the old high scores. If you're a fan of Gotham, this is as good as it gets. This is peak Gotham, but it's still a Damian Wayne. Just because it's one of those shows, like if you like it, you're going to love these episodes. But if you don't like it, you are probably not going to love these episodes. It's not like this is going to convert you from anti-Gotham to Gotham. You're already in the Gotham camp or not by the time these episodes come around. Like if there's a chance you could enjoy Gotham, maybe they're the ones to do it. But what I put in the Damian Wayne are those polarizing things that people either love it or hate it for the most part. And that's kind of where I put this. Like it's great fun, but it's pulpy. It knows what it is, and I respect it for it. But still, it's not going to be talked about in 15 years unless it's like, oh man, do you remember that show Gotham?
You remember when the kid from Gotham, like you remember that kid from Gotham?
Sean talked about V. That's how
exactly. Or it'll be like that kid from Gotham like killed 87 people. Can you believe it? Like you'd remember the Gotham then if one of the character actors goes insane. Sean?
For me, it's a Damian Wayne also. Although I got to tell you, I feel like I have short-sheeted this show a little bit because I kept comparing it to movies. But what I really need to compare this show to is The Flash on WB. Because the first couple seasons of The Flash were great. We loved The Flash season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just fell off of a cliff. And it was awful. And it just got worse and worse to the point where I can't even remember the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
Probably the first episode of season 3, and I was out, probably. Whereas with Gotham was always crazy. And it's like, it's just a crazy, nutty little show that, it's probably got a budget of $1 million an episode just on talent alone. But it's a Damian Wayne. I mean, I hate to say it, it just is.
Fair enough. I am surprised at what I've been thinking about having watched this, and of course throughout our review here and everything.
It's your absolute favorite thing of all time. Highway to the Dingo Zone.
No, but it is. I am going to go a low Tim Drake on this. I think the reason that I go a little bit higher is because I also know that I am not beholden to watch any other episodes of this. I watched this in this little bubble, and I liked it. It was kind of neat to jump back into a story that we knew.
That's a very good point.
It's further along within the story, but it's quick enough that you can pick it back up again, especially for these 2 episodes. And the fact that I don't feel like there's any pressure to watch anything else because I enjoyed this enough for what it is. That's what jumps it up a little bit of a Robin rating for me and gives me a low Tim Drake. But I was surprised. So Joe, thanks for that recommendation, man. We were going to put it in a Patreon thing, but we just didn't realize it was on Netflix instead of all the other places. So next week we'll talk about that in just a second because I think we have 2 different options. I don't know if we didn't talk about it previous to recording the show, but we'll get to it in a minute. Bruce, in the meantime, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I want people to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie, where I am doing reviews of anime like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Attack on Titan. I've got some Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer up there. I got a few other odds and ends, but my big goal is to get all caught up on Attack on Titan by January when the new episodes come out. And then we're going to get back-to-back doses of season 2 of Demon Slayer starting in the fall. So I'll be there for all that. But yes, please just go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie.
Sean, what else?
We got a podcast called 30 Questions where we ask 30 questions of some nerdy property each week. And we've got a lot of different 30 question shows. Check those out. We're going to have a 30 questions on Hawkeye, and it sounds like Adam and Bruce are going to have a 30 questions on the Wheel of Time.
And I want to go ahead and throw this out there. If someone else would like to do a Wheel of Time, send us an audition tape. Ooh. HeroMoviePodcast@gmail.com.
What would that be? Them just asking a couple of questions?
I don't know. That's what I want to see. I want to see who gets creative.
singing the Dinger Zone theme song.
Hey, listen, if I've got a spot here on the board, I can put it if we need.
I think that's a good idea.
It's always available if need be. So yeah, do check out all that kind of good stuff. And like I said, support us on Patreon, reviews on iTunes, all of those good things. That'll do it, everybody. I think next week we were going to either do What If, or do we want to go with our Halloween thing and then do we want to go Patreon and then our Halloween thing?
Well, isn't Halloween like 2 months away?
It's like a month and a half away.
What am I even? I don't see. I'm telling you, Bruce and Sean, my schedule is all whacked out in my brain. So how about you shut up and stop listening to what I'm saying, and then
we'll do What If
next week. We're doing the What If. Yes, we'll do a couple episodes of What If next week, and check our social media. We'll tell you exactly which ones we're watching and all that kind of good stuff. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking What If for Sweet Sean Kovacs for the Internet. Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
You know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. You see, I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you. You came along just like a song and brightened my day. Who'd have believed that you were part of a dream? Now it all seems like years away. And now you know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. You see, I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you